I think it's really easy for us to start 2023, the beginning of January, with all these big goals and all these big things we want to accomplish. And then it's around this time, it starts fizzling out. Anyone can say, I want to grow my YouTube channel. I want a silver play button. I want a gold play button. But can you? Can you just say that and then it just shows up? No, there's you need a plan. You need a strategy for getting there. And I know around this time of the year, it's easy for that to kind of start falling by the wayside. So I think it's a good time to maybe reconsider the goals we have for our channel for this year and put together a plan to actually reach them, not the plan that falls apart 4 months into it. That's what we want to talk about today, a plan to actually help you reach your YouTube goals here in 2023.
Hey, welcome to the Video Creators Podcast presented by vidIQ. You know how you put a lot of time and energy into your YouTube channel for not nearly enough growth? Yep, we get it. We are here today to help you change that.
Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to see you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode. Every week, we like to hang out with you and just talk about how do we grow our YouTube channels? How do we grow our business? And how do we reach more people and change their lives with the message that we're spreading, with the content that we're creating and the business that we're growing so that we can have a bigger impact on the world in a way that also impacts our family and our own budget and our own economy, of course. And that's what we're here to talk about today, especially with helping you make 2023 a year that you actually hit the goals you're looking for. I'm hanging out with Ingrid, one of the YouTube strategists on our team. Hello, Ingrid.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. How about yourself? Excited to chat with you today.
Yeah. We're missing Sam, one of the other strategists who's usually here. Guess he's helping his wife with something, and so we miss him, but he loves his wife more than us, so I guess we can let that one slide.
He'll be back.
Yeah, he's doing his some good husbandly duties, I assume. Just taking care of some of her needs right now. So that's good. Glad he's able to do that. But today, Ingrid, we're talking about this 2023 topic of goals. Do you set goals for 2023? On you have a personal YouTube channel not a lot of people know about, and I don't even know because you work on YouTube now how active that is.
I know it's been hard actually recently to participate in that. I love creating content, and I do usually set goals, but for some reason I haven't yet this year, which is funny. So this episode is very good for me.
Yeah, we're preaching to ourselves here. I have a personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tim Schmoyer, which I've held for years and just never did anything with it. And now I've started putting my personal podcast there, my business, family, marriage podcast. And that's been fun. It's a very low pressure. I don't really have any goals for it other than more on the podcasting side. Can I make consistent weekly episodes there for entrepreneurs and business owners who are trying to feel like they're struggling to get that work-life balance thing down and have the time and relationships they want at home while also growing a profitable and fruitful business at the same time, which was definitely a struggle for mine for the past decade, having a wife and homeschooling our 7 kids and growing and selling a business all at the same time.
Now, I would think that with all of that, you would have to set goals.
Yeah, sometimes I think I've thought of them more about as priorities than goals, but they're probably synonymous in this conversation. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I'll figure it out as we talk through it. But yeah, my goal there is can I get? It's a very low pressure. Like I said, there's nothing. No pump. No one gets changed into a pumpkin at midnight if I don't hit it. It's more of I'd like to get to weekly. And right now, last year I was at quarterly. Once every 3 months I did an episode. And now I think I'm on track to do about once a month. But I'd like to get to once a week just because I like talking about it. And I think from the feedback I've gotten, it's been fruitful for other people's businesses and families and marriages. And I mean, that's what I get excited about as a personal mission of mine. So
I love that.
But very low key type of goal.
But that's good though, going from quarterly, quarterly to monthly to weekly. That's good. That's a plan. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Yep. I will 3x my content or something. 4x? No. I forget. Forget that part. I was thinking, but it's actually going from 4 episodes a year to 52 episodes a year is way more than that.
So it's a stretch.
Yeah, I was thinking quarterly, but yeah.
But speaking of plans, today we have a creator spotlight with Dusty, and he's got a really cool story because it was kind of fun because I had an opportunity to do a consultation with him about a month ago, and I did my first consultation with him a year earlier. And coming out of that consultation, he created a plan for himself. He went back to the drawing board and created a plan. So, back then, he had about 50,000 subscribers. He really didn't know why his content connected from one to another. It's a common story that we hear with creators. And he took a little closer look at some of the things that he's done. We identified some patterns. I gave him a checklist to work on. He went back to the drawing board, as I said, and then a year later, here he is checking off things, some of his goals. He picked up 75,000 subscribers, collected a silver play button, left his 9 to 5 to teach the art of TIG welding, which is a very precise, clean form of welding. He's doing that now globally, as well as with online courses. So the ultimate thing here is he gets to spend more time as a dad with his kids. But enough about that. I'm going to let Dusty tell you a little bit more about what he's done on his channel to gain more growth.
My channel is called Pacific Arc TIG Welding. It's about a specialty process of welding called TIG welding. It's like a traditionally really clean type of welding. It's used in kind of food grade type stainless steel, aerospace type welding, really clean kind of areas where welding is needed to be really precise. And I've just left to do full time with YouTube to teach it now. So that's what I've been doing in the industry.
So when you first came and you decided to book a consult, I know that your channel had just passed 50,000 subscribers back then, and you had some online courses. What brought you to us needing to get past some roadblocks at that time?
So I think the first time we met, I was really intrigued about just working or learning, and you helped a lot with this, Ingrid, was helping me figure out the things that had worked really well for me, why they worked. And, that's kind of when we connected the dots to replacing, the word algorithm with, an audience type thing. And we really kind of picked apart what had worked well for me up to that point. And I was really at a point where I was starting to create videos I was super proud of. So I wanted to just learn how to take them further. So I went back to the drawing board after our first meeting, which was great. I like to have concrete things, exactly what I need to continue doing or what I could do better, why certain things don't work. It was great to have that for, a chunk of time to just work away with that advice, and to see it working is crazy. It's been a lot of growth since the first time we talked.
You more than doubled the size of your channel.
Yeah.
You ended up getting your silver play button.
Yeah.
And you left your 9 to 5 to have as a full entrepreneur now with courses as well.
Yeah.
And being a full-time creator. So I would love for you to kind of tell our audience, maybe how you kind of connected some of those pieces after the first time. So what kind of things did you do on your channel or focus on to get yourself to double your growth?
I had more of a precise person I was talking to, which is, you hear it, I've listened to your podcast for years and stuff. And you hear that's what you got to do is who is your target viewer, or whatever. But to actually have you go through it with me was super beneficial. So coming out of that first meeting, it was great to actually have the specific questions that I would have asked at the time, so that I could connect with the people who would actually benefit from the videos I was making, as well as the art of storytelling has been really crazy to start incorporating more and more. And the cool thing about it for me is that like I said, I was that person once struggling to learn how to do this stuff. So not only do I know what shoes the viewers are in, I also have a lot of stories that I can kind of use to, and if you ever watch my videos, they're pretty goofy. I'm always telling stories about how I messed something up or made a mistake, and this is what I learned from it. There's a lot of other welding channels and stuff, and they're all really cool, but I just wanted to be different. I find that like telling a story is like a great way to connect to a viewer more.
I would love to know what you would say to somebody who's considering potentially, working with us that might be in that same spot that you were.
Take a look at what's around you. I don't like using the word competition, but like take a look at what is, a similar niche kind of channel and figure out ways to do it in a unique way. Because when you figure out a way to do it in a unique way, it becomes pretty natural because you can kind of make it your own, which is really cool. And that's probably like the most important thing I've figured out is like just being a little bit different, being a little bit more unique and personable in the videos. But like also like really, and we've already talked about it, but like identifying who this video is for and really like create a picture in your head of like this person that you're talking to. And it's much more easy to like, I find, communicate the way you want to communicate when you have that stuff kind of in your mind and you're like paying attention to like, talking to the right type of person as well as keeping it like casual and fun. I hope that like people who want to get into making YouTube videos are like, they start with that stuff first, because that's kind of the stuff I wish I learned first, and then connecting with you to help me kind of connect all those dots was like the first aha moment. It's funny. I've had like 4 episodes that I filmed before you and I talked last. And I'm like, I don't even want to release these now because I have like different approaches I want to do now. So, but it's all good. Like I'll just make them as best as I can. But yeah, it's like exciting. It's exciting to have like a constant new approach to what I'm doing. It helps keep it fresh too.
Getting that fresh perspective from a strategist can really help you as a creator take that step back and reevaluate what tweaks you need to make, just like Justy, but also feel more confident in the strategy that's really going to deliver results for you, just like it has for him. And if that's something you're interested in exploring with us here at Video Creators, you can go to videocreators.com/discovery call and book a 15-minute session with Sam or Blake on our team at a time that works for your schedule. We just want to hear your story. We want to hear what you're working on and hear what your channel's all about and what your roadblocks are and what the goals you're trying to achieve on it, and just let you know, like, hey, love it. This is what we could do for you, because we don't want you like spending a lot of money for this big program when really all you might need is just a 1-hour conversation, a consultation to really move forward and reach your goals. And so we like to just kind of point you in the right direction if there's something here that makes sense. So go to videocreators.com/discovery call and schedule your 15-minute session with us, and looking forward to talking with you and hearing your story soon. Ingrid, when I coach creators and personal clients of mine now too in their businesses and such, one of the first conversations I like to have with them is like, what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish here? What does a win look like for you in this? And I usually ask that question in a number of different ways like that, just to kind of like hit all around the bush and really get clarity on what is the thing this person actually wants. What is most important to you? And I know you do that with a lot of the clients that you work with too on their channels. And I think when it comes to like reevaluating our goals for 2023 and how do we establish them so that we actually reach them this year, where do you usually start with that when you're working with creators? What kind of questions do you ask and help them wrestle through first?
Well, I first like to see, like if they can have anything that they want, what does that look like? I really kind of want to know anything, pixie dust here, anything you want. What does that look like? Just to kind of get a feel for what the bigger picture is, right? And then from there, really start looking at what is it that they're really after. And I love to ask questions like, what else? What else do you want? If you could have anything you want, what would it be? Almost like a laundry list. Because I think it's really important to know where you're going. You have to figure out what those components are that are going to move the needle the most for you to get there. So you really kind of need to step back and look at the bigger picture before looking at the smaller one.
Yeah, I think it's important that when we first dive into this topic, that a creator and you listening, ask yourself, like, what is most important to me? What would a win look like? Is it views? Is it subs? Is it building community? Is it, moving your audience off of YouTube and onto an email list or a different platform? Is it, you just want more confident in your YouTube strategy. You don't want to feel like you're wasting time anymore, right? And then the next question after that is, okay, well, if you got that thing, what would that do for you? Why? And it goes through because usually people say I want views and subs, but for some people they want views and subs because if I ask, what's that going to do for you? Then they'll say like, well, because then I'll have more momentum to sell more of this product, or I'll be able to charge more for brand deals, or I'll finally get a publisher to publish my book because I have a large enough social media following for them to feel like this book is worth publishing or something. Like, people have different goals. So views and subs and community and revenue, these are usually goals. These are usually not the main goals. These are tools to get to a deeper underlying goal. And I think it's important to identify what the underlying goal is and not just assume that views and subs is even the best way of getting that underlying goal. So I think it's what is most important to you. That word most, I think, is important.
And I think that, it's probably valuable to mention this because it's a lot easier when you're talking to somebody, right? But if it's just you doing this and you just start writing things down, your thought process is probably going to be very similar to what you would say verbally. That's my hunch. You're going to start off surface level.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what else do I want? Keep writing and keep answering and keep digging, because eventually it'll hit you in the face of what you're just saying. What is it that you really, truly want?
I remember a session I did with someone who had around 80,000 subscribers, and she was doing I'll keep it generic. She wanted to grow her channel, and I said, "What do you?" She said, "I want to get more views, more subscribers." And I was like, "What would that do for you?" And she said, like, "Well, actually, here's what's going on. My father-in-law just moved in with us, so I had to quit my job to be able to support him and take care of him. But now finances are really, really tight for us, and so I figured one thing I could do is just continue to grow this YouTube channel and make more money that way, while I'm staying at home caring for my father-in-law." And that's one way to do it, I guess. But what stood out to me, I'm like, well, what's more important to you, more revenue or more views right now? And she was like, hands down, more money. Like, that's why I'm doing this. So like, okay, well, let's have a conversation about a stronger business model, because he was getting like 20 to 30,000 views per video, and had a very, very engaged audience and community of people. And she had never thought about creating something to sell to them. I'm like, let's just do some simple math here. 1% conversion on something you're selling for, let's say, $50 or $30 even for 1,000 views. That's $300 per 1,000 views, right? You're not going to get that kind of CPM anywhere. So instead, we focus that whole conversation on a business model instead, which serves her better and her audience better, and actually gets to the underlying goal, as opposed to just assuming that the thing that we say we want is the thing we actually want. So you can get the thing you say you want, but if you don't identify the thing you actually want, you could get the thing you say you want and it could still be a swing and a miss, and you'd still be like, oh, wow, it's wasted a lot of time and didn't get the thing that I thought I really wanted,
So I have a question for you, Tim. How would you go about identifying roadblocks to getting what you want?
I think that's an important next step, because once you've identified what you want, then I think it's helpful to identify, well, what's preventing you from getting it? What do you think the roadblocks are? Or what have you tried already type of questions? And identifying those things help you identify what the challenges are going to be, and maybe what has worked or hasn't worked in the past, and so that we can direct our efforts a little better. If we skip the step of identifying roadblocks and we just say, hey, my New Year's resolution is to work out every day, you can white knuckle that for a week, maybe two, but when you're getting about this time of the month, that wears off really quickly if you haven't done a few other things we're going to talk about here as well. But one of them, the first one being, what are my excuses commonly when I don't work out? What are they going to be? What gets in the way of me fulfilling that goal? What are the things I've tried already and I'm still not hitting the gym the way I used to, or in this case, growing the YouTube channel the way I want to? Because then we can start to get a better idea of what could work, and a better idea of like, are these perceived roadblocks or are these actual roadblocks? Because there's a difference between those as well. And so just identifying what's going to hold me back and proactively tackle them before moving forward to getting the thing that we want, the goal, the objective. After that, I think it's important to make these goals written down, and so here at Video Creators, we've been following a process for a long time called objectives and key results. And I think we did an episode on this years ago, but just to kind of bring people up to speed, not that everyone here has listened to every episode we've ever done. It goes more in depth. But this is it's important to have this thing written down as an objective, and writing it down as an objective, it just makes it clear, like, what does the win actually look like, rather than just having this generic idea of, I want to grow my YouTube channel, or or even a silver play button's a little bit more tangible because that's 100,000 subs, right? So that's a little bit more tangible. It just needs to be something it doesn't have to have a number in it. It doesn't have to be something specific like 100,000 subscribers. It's just like growing your YouTube channel could be the goal, but making it written just kind of makes it feel a little bit more real. And then having key results. So the OKR stands for objectives and key results. So you have the objective written down, and then the key results are like, okay, what are the things that need to happen in order for this objective to be met? So if these 3 to 5 key results are accomplished, then by definition, this objective will also be met. So they're kind of like sub goals, but these are where you're getting measurable. Each key result should have a number in it. It's not a key result if it doesn't have a number in it. It has to be a clear, did we do this or not? Yes or no? Did I do this 3 times a week? Yes or no? Did we reach this new viewership level on each video in February or January? Yes or no? Like, it has to have numbers and be very measurable and attainable. And if those are accomplished, then the objective would thereby, by definition, be met. So writing it down, there's been some research that's been done, and I could probably pull this up in a second here. Okay, I found it here. Yeah. So if you don't write your goal down, an unwritten goal, you are 33% likely to achieve the goal. If it's written down, you automatically jump up by 10%. This is research done and cited in Forbes. So if you write down the goal, you are 43% likely to achieve it. If you write it down, your goal, and you write down the actions, like the key results you're going to take in order to achieve that goal, you now become 64% more likely to achieve that goal. Wow. And if you write the goals down and the specific key results and actions down for reaching that goal, and you share those goals and those actions with someone else and provide a weekly update to someone else about it, you become 76% more likely to achieve that goal. Wow. So with that in mind, it makes a lot of sense to make this goal more achievable is to write it down, define how you're going to accomplish it, what those key results look like, and then share it with someone else. This is why we follow this process for our company and Video Creators is our business key results, our business objectives and key results, as well as our personal objectives and key results, and things we're working on personally here. And because it increases the likelihood that we'll actually hit that goal by having that accountability built in as well.
But what I love about this process, though, is that with the OKRs, it feels a little scary when you're doing it for the first time, but the more you do it, you really see the value in it. And the objective part of it, the thing that I love about it is that you don't have to hit it 100% to be successful.
Yeah, the goal, if we're getting technical, not technical, but we're like writing a really good goal, it's like it requires effort to do it. Like if the goal was wake up every morning, okay, well, chances are you're not going to really put a lot of effort into that goal. You're going to forget about it. But if it's like fly to the moon this year, well, that's a little too big of a stretch, and you probably won't be too motivated to work on it either because it's just too big. So finding that sweet spot where the goal is like attainable, but you know you're going to have the stretch a little bit to get there. You're going to have the push. And even if you fall at like 70% of that goal, you still probably feel like pretty good. Like, all right, we made a dent in this. We made some progress. That's still better than going too big or too little. You want it to feel like a stretch.
Because achievable goals, I think, are smart. I mean, you always, like you said, you want to stretch a little bit, but you refer to a particular kind of goal that is a totally different kind a lot.
You're talking about BHAGs?
Yes.
I just like the word BHAG, really.
I know.
I mean, it just sounds fun. So this is, maybe if we're going to go back to the beginning, like the very first thing you could do potentially is a BHAG, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal. In the book, Good to Great, Jim Collins looks at businesses that were good and businesses that were great. And he's like, what's the difference between these two? And one of the things he found, among many other things, one of them is that great businesses has what he called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. This is the fly to the moon type of thing. This is the Elon Musk, like, can we sustain life on Mars, type of thing. It's a really big goal. And others would maybe even call it like a vision for something like it's a 10-year, 20-year, maybe a lifetime plan for where we want to be and how we're going to get there. And so like for us, like our BHAG for a while at Video Creators was, can we equip 10,000 life changers? Defining life changers as creators who embody our public, our external 3 core values of being people first, mission oriented, and results driven. And if they share those values with us and they've got a mission, they're mission oriented, they're people first, they're results driven, then we labeled them internally as a life changer and kept track of, can we work with 10,000 of those people, helping each of them get to 1 million views a month, which would be 10 billion views of people's lives being impacted every month. Can we do that? And selling our business to vidIQ is part of that process because boom, we can hit 10,000 life changers pretty quickly now. So that it's more of like this big mission that keeps you energized and excited that you're working towards of this like thing that drives maybe the smaller goal for 2023. I think it's kind of like
what does that look like for the audience? What does that look like for the audience then? Like what's a BHAG for somebody with the YouTube channel?
Oh, I don't know. That's something that every person's got to figure out for themselves. I think it comes down to your own unique passions and values and things that are important to you and goals, and each of us, even just personalities and where we live in the world. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. So, but it's just like that really big high level picture of this is why I do what I do. This is what I love to accomplish. And it's almost like a bucket list type of thing that, yeah. So, but having the BHAG can be motivating as well. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And so after establishing the BHAG and then the smaller goal for 2023 and then the key results of how we're going to do it, we've identified the roadblocks and put some plans into place to mitigate some of those roadblocks. Then I think it's good to like establish a baseline because it's really hard to see growth if you don't really know where you're starting from, right? It's like my kids don't feel like they're growing. They feel like it's so slow. They're always the same height, the same age, right? But if you put them up against the wall and like put a little mark like, oh no, here's where this is how much you grew this year. Or you show them pictures of them playing with their Dora the Explorer doll last year, which is now so not cool, then they can see like, wow, there's been a big change in 1 year. So I know you do that with creators. How would you, and with our clients, Ingrid, what does that look like for a creator in establishing a baseline and so they can make data-driven decisions going forward?
Yeah, we do this day in, day out with creators. And I think that at this time of year, it's always good to get like a zoomed out picture of how the channel is doing and how your content is doing. So I like to sometimes compare how 2022 did maybe to 2021. In analytics. So you're going to want to go into your advanced analytics. You'll change up the date range and select 2022 and then hit the comparison tool. And you'll compare the channel overall.
In the upper right corner, right?
Upper right corner, yep. And then compare it, 1 year to another. And then see how your videos have done. What were your best performers on a channel overall? Or can you establish any patterns? Do you see any historical data? And have you grown maybe year over year in those patterns? Say Christmas, maybe you're a how-to channel. A lot of how-to channels have a lot of surges around Christmas and the New Year's, for instance. And can you see growth from 1 year to another? And you can even go further back to look at that as well. But we need to really know where we're coming from in order to know where we're going.
When we start with a new client, one of the first things that you do as a strategist who works with them, or Molly or Sam or whoever, is you do a benchmark report, right? And it's a pretty in-depth report of here's where your channel is currently, because our contract with you in this case is only 3 months. And in 3 months, what do we want the benchmark report to look like in 3 months? And so you're setting a very clear line in the sand of this is where the channel is, and we're going to measure everything we do against this benchmark going forward for the next several months. How do you use that report to help the creator feel like they're making progress over the next 3 months as they're working with you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first off, you want to see how the channel's doing as a whole. And then you want to actually look at, say, the last 90 days. For instance, an active period where you've been really active, so that you can take that data on newer pieces of content. Because if you've been around for 10 years, you have if you're looking at channel as a whole, you may have some videos that you did, 5-6 years ago that are driving still traffic to the channel. But you want to see what your newer content is doing so that you can maybe identify some current patterns, as well as what's going on with the key viewer signals, impressions, click-through rate. You want to look at watch time. You want to look at average average percentage viewed. Yeah. You want to look at end screen elements as well as clicks per end screen element shown. You're
basically looking at the entire viewing journey in that sense.
I am.
From click to hook to retention to what they do at the end of the
to how well you're extending the watch session. Yep, definitely.
And you're putting that into spreadsheets and charts and graphs so that we can say like, this is where we're at. And I think the advantage of establishing that baseline is like, it's energizing when you start to see progress. Yes. And if you don't see progress, then you have a clear idea of what's not working and what's like, so you can see now, click-through rates went up, but retention is down. Okay. That's where I need to focus my time, as opposed to just seeing like my views don't feel like they're going anywhere. I don't really have a good, clear idea of what I should do next. I feel like I'm trying the same thing over and over, but getting the same results. And then you just like quit on the whole goal because you didn't have clear benchmarks and clear starting points, and we're tracking things. And I'll just say, maybe as a shameless plug, that if this sounds like something you want to do on your channel and you're like, heck no, I hate spreadsheets and that sounds overwhelming, I just want to make good content, that's when you go to videocreators.com/discovery call and set up a 15-minute call with someone here and just talk through what you're trying to do. And if that's something you're interested in, we can point you in that direction if it seems to make sense for where you're at. But
Yeah, because I get really geeky with this kind of stuff because you even want to take it just a tiny bit further than what we were just saying. I love to put things in a spreadsheet only because I get a picture at once. It's really hard when you go from video to video tab to another video tab to spot patterns. But to spot patterns, though, you got to see it all on one sheet. And I even like to think of things that YouTube doesn't give us. Like I'll even track how long the hooks were next to the retention graph. To kind of see that. What percentage of your audience do you have at the end of your hook? Because your hook is not 30 seconds. YouTube gives you your audience that you have left at 30 seconds, but your hook really should be 5 to 15 seconds at the max.
Right.
So what's that number? And then what's the percentage at the end? They also don't give you that. So that's the kind of stuff that we track too, to spot patterns, to see if you need to make shifts to video structure to help you get better viewer signals so that you're getting more impressions to help you get the click. Yeah, you see where this goes.
The point of this episode is to let you know that you needed Ingrid in your corner. Not just looking at all the data, finding the patterns and spotting them for you, but then coaching you through implementing what they look like and how they should be and how to try them differently. And then measure Ingrid or whoever goes through all the data every month. Here you go. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Here's how it's trending now that we're doing it this way versus that way, and just dissecting everything. So, but you don't need us to do that. You can do that on your own. That's why we're doing this here. Just giving you the kind of the process we follow. And then I think what comes from that, Ingrid, if there's a next step to actually reaching these goals, is when you start seeing new patterns, you start trying new things, and you're implementing new behaviors to mitigate the roadblocks and all of that, it feels really awkward for a while. And that's another reason why people quit, because it's not the normal routine, which is kind of the point, right? Because this old routine was only getting us X results and we want different results. But it feels cumbersome. It feels sloppy. It feels challenging. It feels like, is this, we lack confidence and a lot of those things when we're trying something new. And I have found that once you find something that works, identify and understand that that's a normal feeling to have, and that's not an indication that something's going wrong. I know we're all creatures of habit and we like routine. And so that can sometimes be discouraging and we give up because of that, but that's actually normal. It's exactly where you should be. But I think it helps then to, once you have something that's working, is to establish a good system, a good process around reinforcing that and ensuring that we can get these same results every single time. So you come out of experimentation mode and you kind of come into this like solidification mode, if that's a word. And
Sounded good.
Solidification. I think I know what it means. And it just makes the process easier too. So by process, I mean, you're like literally putting it into a checklist in a Google Doc or something. Step one, then this happens, and then I do this, and then I click there, and then so it becomes a process that you or someone you hire can start following this process. And anyone, if it's a good process, should be able to follow this and generate the same results that you're generating with it. That's what starts to grow a scalable, sustainable team of other people who can work for you. That's when you start spending less time to get the same results. It's more time up front to create the system, but once it's created and you can just rinse and repeat it, you don't have to keep thinking through each step. You can just refer to this written document and continue to tweak it over time as you get better. And then it'll save you time in the long run because you've got the whole process there worked out and solidified-ification.
Nice.
Right? So
I feel like you said something important,
really important.
though. I feel like you said something important, and that is, maybe even hire somebody. Yeah, right.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I said something in all of this.
But you were talking about hire somebody, because if a lot of what we just said just does not sound like fun to you, outsource the parts that don't. Because remember, the end result is you want to hit the goal, and it's going to require work.
Yeah, if you don't want to dig in through all your analytics and create the benchmark reports and do all that, contract us. We got people who love doing that stuff. And that's how I've done a lot of stuff in my business. I hate doing email. And I get hundreds of them a day.
Sigh deeply there. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I get hundreds a day, and there's a lot of good opportunities. I don't hate the people who are sending them to me. It's just like on top of everything else. So I outsourced that. I hired a personal assistant, and now she manages my inbox and my calendar and many other things as well. Thank you, Caitlin. She's listening to this because she also writes up these episodes into emails and into other clips and she's the one that gets them all published and all that kind of stuff. So,
the systems.
You can outsource the stuff. Yeah, but that was a part. Like that was the hard part at the beginning. How do I outsource my email? Like, how do I hire someone else to do this when they don't know the relationships I have with each of these people, and they don't know what's a priority and what's an opportunity and what's a distraction? Those are all really important decisions to be able to make. And so I had to start systematizing that. For example, if an email looks like it comes from someone I know personally, and you're not sure what my relationship with that person is like, I archive my email. I delete very few emails. So just search the archive for that person's contact info and read my past exchanges with them and get a feel for, is this a relationship that I currently have, or is this a first time email from someone who's just pretending to sound very personable? So you can start figuring out things like that and making it something that you can hand off.
So I'm curious, was this a goal for you in the past?
To hire
outsource your email. Outsource your email.
I would give myself too much credit if I said it was a goal. It was really more like it felt like a pressure cooker where I just couldn't keep up, and I wasn't serving people the way I wanted to serve them. And it just became like, it was something that I held on to for way too long. And I ended up giving it up when I got so fed up with it that I just didn't care anymore. It was like, I just can't. So I held on to it for too long. And when I got to the point where I didn't care about it, I was just like, my first assistant, I was just like, here you go. Just, I don't care. Just you do it, not me. And I did not set her up well for success. And it wasn't the proper response or way to do that, but just out of honesty, that's kind of how it was. So, but I had to get to that point where I just didn't care in a bad way to finally just give it up.
But it's funny, though. It makes me think now of the audience and everybody listening, and thinking some of the things that you might be able to give up in order to create all the content to get all the things that you want. Things like editing. Maybe you don't like to edit. Titles and thumbnails. Maybe hire a producer. There's all sorts of things to help you get these goals. Yep.
Yeah, really, really good. And then finally, I think the next this process for achievable reward or achievable goals is rewards. It's creator health. You want to talk about this one a little bit, Ingrid?
Yeah. I think that it's important to really kind of know, like we've been talking about here, what are you working toward? And then when you get there, how are you going to celebrate that win? This is an important part of the process. I think that it's important to acknowledge the work that you've done. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to spend thousands of dollars on yourself. You can, but you don't have. Tim's laughing. But you don't have to. You can set little rewards also along the way. But I think that it is really important to recognize achievements, especially when you've done the work.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I try to reward myself with, it's going to sound funny, but just like a simple, soda at the end of the day, it's like, you're laughing because you know the story, Ingrid, but that was hard for me at one point to sit down and drink. Cause all I would be going through my mind is this is $1 and I'm wasting it on myself right now. And I've gone through plenty of therapy since then, and now I can drink it without feeling bad. But that was a place I was at for a while. And having little rewards, I think, are good. Yeah, and hopefully reaching the goal itself like is a reward, that you reach
Absolutely.
that goal because it brings some reward, whether it's revenue or because it's stability or because it's confidence or it's because you can now go do this trip you want to do or whatever it is. There's usually the goal is usually not the ultimate goal in and of itself. It's usually driven by something else.
But I find myself
celebrating
doing
the win is certainly important.
I find myself doing this exercise actually with some of my longer term clients. And like, I just had a client who had massive, massive growth, the most she's ever had on her channel in the entire span of the channel in 2022. So I spelled out all the wins. And when she looked at it at one page, that was massive. And so my question to her was, how do you plan on celebrating? Because it never even entered her mind.
Well, and you putting that all on one page for her too is good because we focused on the negative naturally.
Always.
Yes. And media, the stuff that catches our attention is usually negative, not positive. And a lot of us just based on our childhood and upbringing and things, it's just maybe a mental health issue at some level where it's like, I just focus on negative stuff. It's just easier. And some people feel more comfortable there. So there's a lot. That's a much bigger topic than
for another day.
Scope of this episode or even this brand really. But just something I've been learning personally, I suppose. But yeah. So our point to you this year, as you continue now into February, is don't be afraid to reassess your goal at this point. If you've fallen behind, gotten off track, it's fine. Just reevaluate it and maybe follow some of the things we talked about here and stay on top of it on a quarterly level, maybe on a 6-month level, not just on an annual level, on a monthly level, even a weekly if you deem that's necessary. Just make a plan for this objective and key results, write it down, talk about it with someone else, check in with someone, even get a couple other creators or other friends of yours and just report on it every week. That make a big difference in the likelihood that you'll reach your goal. Just don't keep your nose, like if you're in your analytics every single day, multiple times a day, it's like trying to look at a mural with your nose pressed against the wall. You need to just disconnect, back up and look at the bigger picture here and focus on that too. So, looking at your data on a video level as well as a channel level and a channel as a whole, like all that's important. But keeping the big picture in mind is also important. If you call it a BHAG or something else, all of this goes into making your goals sustainable. So do it. You got it. Here's my little fist bump to you right here.
There you go. Words of wisdom. We like to leave you with a power tip here at the end. And today is one that you might not usually think of. I have a hack for you for YouTube analytics because sometimes they get glitchy. This has been a pattern that I've noticed in the last about 4 to 6 months. And every now and then, because we have these opportunities to really drill down into our data, YouTube gives us such robust analytics. It's amazing. But sometimes when you filter by publishing date and then you have to be in the advanced tab and you're filtering by publishing date and you're filtering by content type even, sometimes it feels like your data can be off, and that can happen. So one of the hacks that the analysts here, along with myself, we've kind of grown to use is an old school method. And this is to use groups, because the one thing we've identified is when we segregate our content by whether it's by publishing period or whether it's by content type, if we use groups in the advanced tab, we never have these glitches. So when things get glitchy, go old school is my best advice here.
Yeah, groups are what we used before the filters were there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason that they work better is that it's all manually created, right? So if you're not familiar with groups, if you're looking at your advanced analytics in the upper left corner, you'll see your channel name and your channel icon, and it doesn't look clickable, but if you click inside your channel name, a drop-down menu appears, and one of the tabs in there is groups. And if you haven't used them before, there's just a blue button that says create a group. You can click on that and just title it like thumbnails with faces and put all your videos in there, maybe for the past 90 days that have thumbnails with faces. And then make another group called thumbnails without faces, right? And then, or just as an example, and then add those videos to that group. And then you can compare those groups side by side and see like, oh, okay, faces work better for my audience or my channel, something like that. And so those groups are manually created. So I think that's why they work a lot better than the drop down filters, which can't even do something like faces and thumbnails are not, or 10-second hooks versus 30-second hooks, like whatever groups you want to make. That's a very, very powerful tool. Yeah. So check that out. Speaking of analytics, we have an episode for you that we think would be worth you checking out. It's called Popular YouTube Metrics We Think You Should Ignore for Better YouTube Growth. There's a mountain of data in there, and not all of the data is considered equal. So what should you focus on, not focus on? Check out that episode, link to it down in the show notes and or in the description of this, wherever you're watching it, and check that out. But thank you for hanging out with us. We are rooting for you for a really great 2023 on your channel. We want to support you however we can. And if we can, just go to videocreators.com/discovery call and book a session with us. We're looking forward to meeting you, hearing your stories, seeing how we can help you accomplish your goals here this year. So you're not just struggling along. We want you to feel confident that you're doing the right thing, that you're spending your time the right way to get the best results, and not just trying to like figure out like, is this working? Is this not working? What do I do next? Like we want to help you get those results. So thank you for hanging out. We'll see you again next week for another Video Creators podcast episode. See you then. Bye.